Welcome to Heritage Acres Homestead. I'm Chas. Here you'll find our family as we strive to live a life that pleases the Lord. We do our best to make the most out of what we've been given, so we'd like to invite you to come along and join us on our journey. Hey y'all, and welcome back to Heritage Acres Homestead. I'm Chas. Today we're going to talk about cranberries. Cranberries are one of those foods that you probably don't see very much of until come late October, early November, because it is kind of a seasonal thing. And because, of course, we do not have the bogs and are able to grow them down here in Georgia, we do have to source these from the store. But I think they're well worth buying when you get a chance because they're full of vitamin C and antioxidants, and they're tasty and they're good for you because they're full of fiber and they're low in carbs, and they taste good too. I use cranberries in a lot of different ways, hence the large pile that I have here today. I buy them up and either use them all quite quickly or over the next course of a few weeks, or then I put them in the freezer. And you can freeze them straight like this in the bag. You don't have to lay them out and do anything special to them. They freeze just as easily as if you can store them in the fridge. They'll last in the fridge several weeks, but last in the freezer for a very long time. And I make so many things with cranberries. Of course, we make cranberry sauce, and I love cranberry sauce, like the fresh kind, the yummy, delicious kind that you can make with oranges and cloves and all that kind of good stuff. And then I also enjoy the kind from a can because it's just, I guess, the nostalgia of it. But then I also like to use cranberries in my smoothies. I like cranberries I made a cranberry pie a year or two ago that was really tasty. I enjoy especially cranberries in the form of Christmas jam. If you've never had Christmas jam, if you want to make it, go check my videos out because I have a whole video on how to make it. And there's even some pretty little printable tags too that you can print out and give that as gifts. But Christmas jam is delicious. It's cranberries and oranges and cloves and cinnamon and strawberries, and it's of course a jam, and it's just so bright in flavor, and then it has those warming spices too. It's just unlike anything I've ever tasted, and I just love it. So I always get plenty of cranberries so I can make that too come this time of year. And then, of course, I'm going to use them in my decorating because I always string this little tree here with popcorn and cranberries and dehydrated citrus. And then I'm going to show y'all today what else I can do with these cranberries, and that is to make our own cranberry juice. Now, cranberry juice is, of course, something you can buy at the store, but if you go around and look, like locally, in our area here in North Georgia, our stores, and I looked this morning just so I would know for sure, to buy cranberries, it's $2.99 a bag. And I mean, that's not terrible, but it's certainly not great when you look at how many I wanted to have. That can get pricey very quickly. So yesterday, while I was out and about on errands, I stopped by Aldi, and Aldi has them for 99 cents a bag right now. Now, by the time you see this, it may have changed, but right now at Aldi, they were 99 cents in my area. And so that's why I bought so many. Because like I said, they can go in the freezer easily, and they can be used in the fridge or kept in the fridge for several weeks too. So making cranberry juice is a very simple process. It's just going to take a couple ingredients. You're going to use some cranberries, some sugar, and water. And then you can either water bath this or you can steam can it. And it's that simple. Give it a little bit of time at the end. It takes a few weeks for it to steep because I'll show you when we get there, but it's so neat. you will can the cranberry juice, and to begin with, it's just going to be cranberries and clear water. Over the course of the days, you'll start seeing that water turn this dark, rosy red, and the cranberry juice will be then infiltrated through the whole jar rather than just like sugar water and a little bit of cranberries at the top. It's a wonderful, wonderful process, and I love to make it because I use that cranberry juice in punch and like when I'm doing any cider, apple cider, sometimes I'll add a little cranberry juice, or you can do it with some sparkling water. And I also use it to flavor kombucha or water kefir in the summers. So it's really handy to have on hand. Also, you could give it as gifts. You're going to let it steep in that jar for at least 2 weeks, but better 4 weeks. So it's perfectly in time for right there between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You'll have your cranberry juice ready to go if we do it now. So we're going to take these cranberries and we're going to get started on the process. And this is going to be something that if you're a little bit hesitant on the whole canning thing, like I know many of you are, you're going to take this recipe and you're going to be confident, and you're going to be so excited that you have put some cranberry juice on your shelf for the holidays. So let's get started. All right, to get started, we need cranberries and sugar, and then we need boiling water. And the boiling water is, oh, dad, blame it, Carly. All right, this is what we need. We need our cranberries, we need our sugar, we need our jars, measuring scoop, and boiling water. And the boiling water is on the stove right now, so I'm going to do this work here so you can see it, and then we'll move over to the stove to add the boiling water. So now there are a lot of different ways and directions floating around out there. I don't guess any of them's necessarily wrong. I'm just going to show you the way I've done it. So I take about a cup and about a cup and a half, I guess, maybe a little over, because I'm not leveling this off. So there's a cup. There's about a cup and a half or a little more. All right, so we've got our cranberries in. Now I'm going to take, now you can go anywhere from a half cup to a cup of sugar. I'm going to go right in the middle. I'm going to go about a half cup. All right, so this one's ready. I'm going to move on and do the rest. I'm going to do a whole canner full. So that means a whole canner is 7. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these. And then we'll move on. I told you this was easy. Oops. I'm going to go move these over to the stove and then bring my other jars. All right, now I'm going to say this again. I always say this when I'm doing, I do not sterilize jars prior to use. I just make sure I have a good clean jar, and then I make sure to can it for the amount of time it's supposed to be canned. And as long as it's over 10 minutes, you're sterilizing the jar, because you're putting it through a hot boiling water bath or steam, or if you're pressure canning, pressure. So to me, that's just a needless step. Now, you know, of course you don't want to be foolish and use dirty jars. Make sure they're clean. But as long as they're getting clean, that sterilization step is unnecessary in my opinion. And there are others who feel the same way. And again, I'm not an expert by any means, but I have been doing it a long time. I'm gonna need just a little bit more. Hey, would you give me one more bag of cranberries out of the fridge? I'm gonna need just a little bit more because I don't want this one to be super shy. And then I'll just pour the rest in here that I'm gonna use for my decorations. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So again, anywhere from a half a cup or even a third of a cup you could go for. But you got to remember too, cranberries are very tart. So that bit of sugar will help with the sweetness to make them not so tart. You may be wondering why my sugars are different colors. It's because I had one a white sugar, and then I had a cane juice crystal that I just poured on top of it. I had some left. All right, we'll take these over there, and then I'll move you over there with me so you can see me with the hot water. Alrighty, so I've got my hot water here, my jars are here, and I'm going to go ahead and fill my jars with the water. I'm going to bring the water up to about right here, which is the neck of the jar. And then I will probably just fill them, scoot them over here out of my way, and that way I can put the lids on them and then put the bands and the lids and get them straight into the steam can. But you'll see how, like, when this gets done, you'll see that there is still possibly even some sugar visible, but it will dissolve over time. This water is just very, very hot. It's not actually boiling, it's just very hot. And that's perfect. all this is ready. Now I need to go get my lids and my bands. We'll add our bands just to fingertip tight, and then we'll transfer them right over to our canner. Fingertip tight just means that it's just tight. You're not going in there and really trying to get it on super, super tight. It's just tight. Lid will go on, and then I'll turn on the heat, bring that up to temp, and we'll process for 20 minutes. Now you can hear that it's bubbling, but if you see, we're not in the dark green yet, and that's the zone that we have to get. We have to get all the way to the dark green. Excuse my chipped fingernail polish. We got to get over there to the dark green before we can start our timer. So once we get over there, we'll start our 20-minute timer. So I wanted to show you one more quick thing to do with cranberries. If you're needing just some natural festive touches, if you're wanting some festive natural touches around your home, take you a jar, fill it about 3/4 of the way up with water, some fresh rosemary. I just went out and picked this. We're just gonna stuff this kind of in the bottom. Then we're going to use some of our cranberries. You can also add some like lemons or oranges to this if you wanted. We're just going to top this off with some cranberries. dropped one. All right, there we go. And then I've got just a tiny little, I'm gonna push this down. All right, there we go. All right, now we've got a small candle. I'm just gonna place that right there in the top. Cranberries are gonna hold it in place. And the cranberries are floating up on the top, and they're being supported by the rosemary, so it's gonna hold it in place. And then you can light it. And it's just such a sweet little touch to your home. And then one more thing that I like to do with cranberries while I've got you here is I like to decorate with them. And I like to string them on my kitchen Christmas tree. Now, they are not dried, they're fresh. So over the course of time, they will start to dry on your tree. I don't mind that. But, you know, you could seal them with something, you know, like a clear coat to help them last longer if you wanted to. I don't. The reason being is by the time the tree comes down in January, I'm okay with tossing them out to the chickens and the birds because, you know, by then they're a little bit dried up, shriveled up, you know, kind of gross. And I'm done with it. So I always toss my popcorn and my cranberries and my dried citrus out to the chickens. And that's okay because to me, over the years since Denver's been here, without fail, when he was just a little bitty, he was still able to like get around, he would lick these oranges every year. And even last year he did it too. So I don't want to coat them with clear coat or anything like that. That would be dangerous if my grandsons decide to lick the ornaments if they chose, or if they pulled a piece of popcorn off and ate it. I would rather just have it natural and fresh and run the risk of it looking a little bit rough by the end of the year. So, yeah, that's my opinion. Now, if you're going to use, I do not like to use, I know it looks beautiful, like on a twine or a jute or something, but to me, it is almost impossible to string popcorn on anything bigger than a very fine needle. But string or, you know, thread is very fragile when you get some weight to it. So what I like to do is use embroidery floss. So I will take embroidery floss and a very thin needle, but one that has a big enough head at the end to thread the floss through, so that I don't have an issue with the popcorn when it comes time. And every year I do it a little different. I was thinking this year, I think I will do like maybe 4 or 5 cranberries, or maybe 3 cranberries, a couple pieces of popcorn, and then an orange. And I've never done it in that pattern before. I usually do popcorn on one string, cranberries on another, and then I hang the oranges. But this year, I think I'll do it differently. I think I'll try popcorn, cranberries, and oranges all, or I keep saying oranges, citrus, all on one. And for these, I just go in one side and then pierce through that membrane and then try to bring it out the other side. And because sometimes it's tough, so I push through right there. There we go. And because, you know, we live in such a humid climate, even though I dehydrated these until they were completely crisp, there's tiny bit of tackiness to them already. So just keep that in mind if you do it too. But again, I'd rather deal with that than have it, you know, toxic for my grandbabies. But I think this is such a sweet, sweet little tradition that I don't mind the process every year. I look forward to it, because I've heard some people comment, well, why don't you just seal them and that way you can use them again next year? And I guess besides the fact that I don't want it toxic for the grandbabies, the process is something I enjoy too. I mean, you know, I can sit down, turn on some Christmas music or maybe even a movie in the background. It's just quiet and just everything's quiet and still, and I just go to creating something lovely to put on my tree. And like I said, every year I do it a little differently, but it's always the same type of thing. See how pretty that's turning out. And then when I fill this up, now I also don't do big long strands because I do use a very skinny tree in here. The long strands are going to get super heavy, and you're probably going to have a lot more of a possibility of having breakage if you use a long strand. So there you go. There's several ways I use cranberries around my homestead, around my home, and in my Christmas kitchen. And they're a wonderful, delicious, and versatile fruit. So thank y'all for being here. You know, I very much appreciate each one of your watches, your comments, and your likes. And those of you who have subscribed, I appreciate it so much. The channel is growing a little bit by little bit, and I'm grateful for that. And we'll just see where the Lord takes us in the future. And I just want to say thanks for helping us grow around here. And I will do my best to continue to share things with you that I know to hopefully help y'all in your homesteads and your homes as well. Have a great day.